You have chosen. At least for the few of you that actually decided to vote. But for one vote, Chiroptera. Zeratina, one vote. Chital, one vote. Azur, which was not on the list, one vote. Thank you for not voting for that one so much. I did not want to play that, but I might have just retconned that being a choice because that wasn't a choice, so you know. The Carthaginian Republic, 4 votes. The Republic of Tobuck, 4 votes. Which makes it up to me. And I do not feel like dealing with a whole bunch of civil wars right now, and I know that's the path you want me to do, so I'm choosing Tobuck. Sorry. If you wanted me to play that, too bad. Not playing it. The bustling port of Tobuck is an ancient place that has changed. Actually, I probably will play it next time. I'll do this one and the other one. They were the only ones that got more than 1 vote, so that'll be the next series. That has changed hooves many times over the centuries. It was first built by the mere Egyptians in ancient times, and later fell under the hooves of Warzinan monarchy, which failed to fully suppress or integrate the region. After fruitful negotiations with the Imad Zeb tribes approximately half a century ago, Tobuck and the surrounding lands were liberated and integrated into the new tribal confederation of Zeratina, proper for the purposes of modernizing the otherwise tribal society. Their best-laid plans were cut short with the rise of the Storm King and his war across Zebrica. Tobuck was occupied with little resistance and for the purpose of using it as a supply hub for the Yeti invasion of Equestria, until his reign abruptly ended with his premature death at sea. Now Tobuck is a state and a city, but not a nation. It is a land filled with a manner of cultures, races, languages, and every denomination of society, from the richest to the poorest of creatures. What national identity there could have been as a core part of Zeratina was largely shattered when the Storm King swept across Zebrica. A relatively popular movement to rejoin the tribes plagues the current administration, but the top brass will not be deterred so easily. Peashooter, a born Zerarian, brought up in Equestria, has plans involving the Storm King's weapon stockpile that was originally to be used for the invasion of his homeland. His one goal is to make a fortune selling them before returning home a far richer pony. Once he departs, successful or otherwise, the Zeratians will try to take over Tobuck once more, as stipulated in his deal with them. But no Ponius knows that just yet. At his side is Vasil Sel Tardet, a griffin hailing from faraway Prywin, who is an intelligent and capable as he is skilled in slimy business and maintaining his personal power base. His goals extend far beyond Peashooters, having no intention of leaving in the near or far future. He simply has to wait for his boss to leave, or help whoever takes over in his stead. In addition to his patient aid, the formal military in Tobuck is composed of 3 warlords who, should they discover Peashooter's plan, will be none too pleased with his machinations. Walnut Drive, Alesia and Baredzin all have their own ideas for Tobuck, but they will need to secure their own power before they move on to greater things. Who will ride upon the blank state that is Tobuck? And I've already read this in the last series. If you care about me reading that again, go read the other. Go read the other series? Yeah, go read the other series, losers. Obviously, that's what you should do. Read the other series, whatever that means. I don't know which one of you should be used right now, but whatever. I can't delete any of you anyways, so sure. Okay. Prop you up. Doop, doop. No one cares about these right now. No one cares at all. I'll build up over here. Rifle's probably good. I don't have any right now. Peashooter. When Peashooter was just a foal, one could hardly picture the cheerful little one to become a gun runner, with a loving family, the loveliest of childhood crush turned happy wife, and good prospect of shipping merchant between Petershove and Skyfall. But still, even with all that, little Peashooter was bored. It could have been all ended with a simple middle-aged pony finding a hobby, or drinking the occasional excessive cider. But then came the Stalingrad Revolution. His family business was ruined, but Peashooter saw an opportunity. With the help of a shady friend, he bought some guns from Fizaran smuggler and traveled back home, selling them to a communist volunteer group, and also one Severanin counter-revolutionary he had met in a bar. He made good bit on these deals and decided to make it his career. He traveled to Hawkland and making some deals there before finding his way south, wherever there was bits and a need for gunpowder. In 1005, he made his way to Zebrica, looking to make bank on that insane Yeti, whilst he was still on a roll. He failed as the Storm King died, and his conquest spree ended the following year. But he was in Tobuck with some friends, and it just so happened that one of those friends had friends guarding the supply depots in the region. And with half of Zebrica in turmoil, Peashooter exactly knew where to find his clientele. With the help of Vasil Tredet, he helped to bring about the independent Tobuck, the birth of harmonic republicanism in the region, found some pony to become its face, while he became foreign affairs minister. As long as there was guns to sell in Tobuck, there would be business to do there for any good gun runner. And Peashooter, he's Peashooter now. Peashooter is more than a good one. A legacy of the storm. When the Storm King invaded us with his army, we managed to avoid his wrath with either humble tribute, clever diplomacy, coming trickery, or other means. Other means as in we just took this land afterwards and some of it was destroyed when we got here. We gave away all of our valuables and artifacts, and in return the Storm King was content leaving us alone for the most part, only Saki destroying a few towns. Afterwards, he became a tributary until he eventually perished. Some of our citizens grumble that we should have fought back against the Warlord, but at least our country remains mostly intact. The fake republic. Yeah, because this is the Republic of Tobuck. A free, modern, sovereign republic. The only issue is that no Tobuckian actually wanted one. Yeah. Or rather, the few who did want one certainly didn't want some gun runner to run it. In a land that happily thrived under a monarchy, the announcement of the Republic landed like a cannonball shot with not enough gunpowder, making a big thud in the mud. In the end, no pony was really fooled by the proclamation of the Republic. Even the Hippogrifian and mere Egyptian ambassadors, who were still happy to give lip service to the idea of Terra Werzina and Zeratina, ought to think twice about moving in, but bits help smooth things over, and a fake republic has a way of streamlining government decisions. Warlord Alliance. When Tobuck proclaimed its independence, it had no army, just mercenaries, a lot of guns, and some bits. With their charm, Peashooter and Vasil Tredet managed to convince a few promising adventurers and costly friends to set up their own forces. Each was given a provincial government to governate to make their job of defending the country easier. And while it did provide an effective defending force, there might be some issues in relying on warlords. Zeratian loyalists. A former Warzian province, Tobuck soared on its historical master for many a reason. Soured. And so when the queens of the desert came and liberated them, they embraced her as their savior. It proved a successful choice as the Zeratian wished for a richer region to use as their center of power. The Storm King brought an end to the promising future of the kingdom of Zeratina, and Tobuck had its fate decided for them by a clique of innovative business creatures, as they call themselves. In the end, it's not hard to understand why the merchants and citizens of Tobuck have a nostalgia for the Zebra Queen of the East, and should Mecca come for them, they will help her. Yes, Mecca's like an That's your name. The art of the deal. Some ponies would consider the finest art to be the graceful brushstrokes that inhabit a painter's canvas, or maybe the soothing harmonies that fill the halls of a concert hall with on performance night. But for arms dealers like Peashooter and Vasil Tradat, there's no greater art in the world than the art of the deal. Oh yeah. Menz was not a diplomat, nor was he an individual of particularly repute beyond his status as a trader, but he would suffice as a messenger for the Desert Queen. She's a queen. He sat calmly in front of Peashooter's desk, quietly relaxing in the seat after a long day of market work and discovering exactly what was going on in the city was supposed to belong to his liege. To no pony's surprise, the inquirers had quickly received notice from the Minister of Foreign Affairs. I assume then that Mikoza will have less savory opinions of our operation here in Tobuck. Though he could have picked his words more carefully, it was perhaps a far better choice to be honest with the one who would deliver his word to another that could invade at any time. There was no reason to lie, especially given his plans to return their land once he was through with this half-desert Tartarus of a city-state. Even then, it wasn't as though this traitor would reveal his plans to the rest of the Republic. The zebra nodded, a grim look on his face. I'm afraid so. She will be furious that you have set foot in what she considers to be her territory, and I am inclined to agree. However, I believe that I may be able to provide the time you seek, albeit through groveling and reminders of our ancient customs, as at most I can assure you a year. P's guest relaxed a little further. Apparently well versed in schmoozing with the right equines. It was certainly brave to try, if nothing else. A year. Yes, that should be more than enough to run the operation and vacate the region when Her Majesty comes knocking, he agreed, extending a hoof. You have my stakes. Maine smiled and shook it, rising from his seat to leave himself. I hope this place can grant what you desire. No time to waste. Peashooter has 1 year to settle his affairs in Tobuck and ready the Republic for a Zeratian takeover. Until then, he will have to ensure the warlords do not find out about his deal, represented by mission in the Bonnett's P Accord decision category. Peashooter must also contribute to smuggle goods and filter money to secure his family's fortunes through decisions in the of bits and guns decision category. In addition, whenever P secures money, some amount of the money is left inside Tobuck that could prove useful to someone else after he leaves, one way or another. The deal's deadline is January 1st, 10:08. We got a year. Let's make it count. Okay, now what am I gonna do first? I know, don't do this, because this will give me to them. I have not looked at anything past this tree, but I did try it out, and that was the first thing I did, and then I died. And I also Zeratia gets a unique tree that's different from her normal one, and you can actually swap over to her, which is interesting. But that's not the route I'm doing today. Money's good. I think right now my first thing I want to do is stop the warlords from getting as suspicious. Let's see. Completing this focus will reset Warlord's mission, but will damage all Warlord band divisions. Going this focus will lower. Let's just go down the facade of democracy, and not go down there though. The facade of democracy. It's an open secret in Tobuck that the government and its stated democracy are just an elaborate sham to garner support from nations like Mare Egypt, when in reality much of the country is governed by authoritarian warlords, and democratically officials have little power. Oh, wow. Oh yeah, these. For the entirety of history, the sale of weapons has been a very profitable business, but the Republic of Tobuck has been the only instance of the entire might of a state dedicated to such an activity. After the collapse of the Storm King's short-lived domain, Tobuck was left with a sizable amount of firearms. Now, the only thing left on the agenda is to sell them. And should the stockpile run dry, we can always get a bit creative in wielding the power of a state we plan to give away. For Peashooter, however, it only matters insofar that he can funnel laundered money out of Tobuck altogether. With his family currency, yes, that's his family is currency. Let's sell it. No, he's not that bad, I think. Out of the way, with the knowledge from his prior business ventures in Manhattan, he can't just load a boat full of gold bars and piles of dirty cash and hope that Equestria Customs won't raise an eyebrow. If he wants to retire in financial security, he needs to get clean money and get that money out of Tobuck before Zebrica comes knocking. Peashooter has a simple goal: make enough money for him and his family in Equestria so that they can pay off their debts and live in peace. To do this, he must ensure that the Republic remains mostly functional as he earns his keep, while also keeping an eye on the warlords so that they don't get suspicious and cause his premature departure. Peashooter's 1 year to return to Tobuck to Zebrica. This can be done in advance by completing the focus goodbye and thanks for the bits. Great concern, however, is that the warlords find out about this deal. As for the planned progress and days pass, the secrecy continues to unravel. To buy himself more time, Peashooter can employ certain measures, either by sitting political power, capital, stability, or party popularity. Yes. Alright. Bing! Yay, I can do it now. Okay, let's just trade with someone who will probably never be needing to fight, at least for a long. Yeah, let's just trade with the Arcturian Order. Nah, I'm not wrong. I probably won't need to fight them for a while. That gives me equal to the popularity of me. So if I wait, that could be better. The gun pile will be rushed for 5%. I haven't traded any guns yet, so. Okay. How do I... how do I start trading? Alright. The lovable drunk. While effectively a puppet, one of the most important ponies in Tobuck democracy is a pony named Giggle Juice. A drunkard who lacks actual power makes up for it with his abundance of charisma. He's a popular figurehead in the eyes of many, and his support is paramount to maintaining the facade of democracy. A Giggle Juice. Oh, he's got his own thing. Sometimes when ponies are getting angry, what you need is a face to go comfort them. The kind of pony who are so damn charming that you forgot that you wanted to punch them. In Tobuck, that's Giggle Juice, the president of the Republic and the funniest drinking buddy Peashooter ever met. Despite holding no discernible political view or ambition of his own, he just helps smooth things over. He's just that nice. He gives every pony a good time, and you kind of forget what you were mad about. The only issue here is that the lovable face really does enjoy a good drink. Or 3. at breakfast. Good on you, Giggle Juice. The Truster's aide. It was time for a smoke break. Vasil was far from a lithe griffin, but he was at the very least careful to ensure that he didn't overdo things whenever he wanted a small celebration. His efforts today had mostly been regarding payments and equipment transfers for the National Guard, which was a laborious task and one that he was happy to have finished. As he drummed his claws upon his desk and took a long drag from his cigar, a rather curious thought dawned upon him. All of a sudden he was awfully influential in the running of the country, with most important documentation going through him in some capacity. Of course, he was presently loyal to the president, and particularly to his foreign minister, as any sane creature would be for Peashooter's hard work. But that wasn't to say that he didn't have ambitions. Just as a rather self-indulgent grin grew upon his beak, the door to his office slowly opened, to reveal his secretary carrying another stack of papers. Sorry to dump all of this on you, Vasil, but I'm afraid P has just sent another bunch of papers our way. Minting paperwork mostly. Ah, so we're doing the banks too now, are we? The Griffin asked with a laugh. Ah, ha, ha, ha. As he set down the pile of sheets on the desk. With a sigh and a stretch, the pony returned with a little chuckle of his own. It certainly seems that way. I sure hope they know what they're doing, giving us all this responsibility to work with. We can handle it, but I have a nagging feeling in the back of my mind that we shouldn't really be doing some of this stuff. Seems like too much power in one place, you know? I quite agree. When I next get the chance, I'll have to speak to P about all of this. It's beginning to get concerning, he returned with a comfortable smile. He couldn't help but let his wide smile widen as the stallion left his office. Too much power, indeed. Whatever. President of the Republic. It wasn't often that Peashooter and Giggle Juice actually spoke about important matters, but then it wasn't as though the former needed the counsel of the latter, usually only needed his services. This case, too, no pony surprise, no difference. P was a fastidious planner and a careful deliberator, but not a diplomat or even a good partygoer. That was where the president came into the picture. The foreign minister leaned over his desk with a serious expression, making the just barely sober pony in front of him a little nervous. I have a very important task for you, Giggle. You're going to think it's scary at first, but I can guarantee that you'll enjoy it when you start. Alright then. What will I be up to, sir? He asked tentatively for once. Oh, never mind. Alright then. What will I be up to, sir? He asked tentatively, for once entirely sober and coherent. Change that from the first time I said it to the second. I was assuming he was drunk because it sounded like he was always drunk. Sounds interesting, at least. Peel leaned back again and allowed himself to chuckle slightly at that response, standing up and trotting slowly over to a large wooden cabinet. As he opened its doors and began to rummage, putting something or several somethings into a basket just out of view. Well, I need you to talk to the warlords for me. I know, you don't like them very much, but they're an integral part of our republic, and its commitment to freedom for all. They defend us to the utmost, and I need you to show them a good time for all their hard work. Can you do that for me? For all of us? He asked with a subtle warmth in his voice, revealing a large collection of very expensive alcohol as he returned to the table. Giggle's expression had sunk at the mention of warlords, but had quickly perked up again after seeing such a quality and quantity of booze. If I can get me cheaper stuff as well for their troops, I think that can be arranged. Consider it done, my friend. Now I can send in the president. To the citizens of Tobuck. There are few things more effective than propaganda these days, but we've heard to call that sort of project a media campaign. When we take it to the public... Okay, let me just turn those off so I don't see that all the time. When we take it to the public, whatever the case, calming the people and the soldiers to the warlord armies is a logical step in assuring the stability of the state for the moment. 3 aces. And then she aid us to do drill for another 6 weeks. Or 6 hours. I hope there's not a drill for 6 weeks. In the scorching heat. I tell ya, Alicia's one hell of a general. It does wonders for your barrel, if nothing else. The Earth Pony gave out with a scoff indigestion. My fold. His companion couldn't help but laugh a little to himself as the dealer, a veteran Pegasus, revealed the turn, still very much in the runnings. She stared down her remaining opponents whilst talking to the currently decrepit stallion. Shouldn't have let up with the Yolnut, mate. Would have made your life a darn sight easier. And you would have had some pony that actually understood modern tactics. He's a little green, but he's got the spirit and the brains, I check. He nodded a little and observed the pair in their head-to-head battle, most of the pot having came from the, as of yet, silent unicorn pockets. He simply sat, completely straight-faced, and nodded slowly. I raise, if only to remind the both of you that Barak Zinn actually understands the worth of his troops and pays us like it. You're both getting the short end of the stick, though I will admit Big B is a little extravagant at times. He returned, noting a slight tinge in the mare across the table, as she flipped over the river. Hard to choose, really. Sure. The 3 warlords. Though the warlords guarantee our safety from the outside forces, they also present the most significant security threat. If they were to discover the deal, then they would quickly become hostile and would certainly have the military capacity to take over for themselves. We must watch our backs, wait, and play along. Yeah, that probably should have been the first thing I did, but oh well. Oh, and that also allows me to do this. Okay, there we go. Yes, guns. Do not believe their lies. It seems that our previous efforts, though extensive, simply weren't enough to sufficiently quell popular discontent, and the army remains skeptical. We'll simply have to make their resources, or their sources of information, entirely invalid then. We'll make sure that they don't trust any pony but us when it comes to the media. A gift from I Am Zeb. To the merchant Peashooter of Equestria, from Mechazing of Zeratina. Your arrival in Tobuck has stirred much anger, and you are prudent to keep the warlords that guard you close at hoof. Yet, as my people well know, fortune favors the bold, and fate is kind. Your audacity will bring you great wealth. Yet as you walk the streets of the city where my daughter and my nation both were born, I urge you to look beyond merely the wealth you hope to accrue. Tobuck is a kind city, whose ponies have much to offer those who would greet them as friends. It will be a good home for you during this year, before you return to your distant home, your land. When you do, I hope that the coldness of equestrian winter will not have grown unfamiliar to you. In case it has, I include this message, a scarf, hoof-woven by my servants. May it warm you in your homeland and bring you good memories of the cities. My people love you so dearly. Aw, that's sweet. Yeah, I'll be fine. This will go off and that'll protect me from that. Selling some guns, selling some guns, selling guns. Guns. Guns are good. Can I increase my non-aligned more, or should I go ahead and go through that? I'm not going to get that. Yeah. The rulers of good business. When it comes to gun running, there are some things you should always do, and others that would probably get you killed. If you were to have a go at them, these rules must be followed to a T, unless we plan on ending up ousted like the Zeratians. If nothing else, the threat of the retrospective irony is simply too great. More guns sold. More guns sold. Sell them to criminals. Yay! Let's sell money to the criminals. Second rule. Second rule is to never pick up arms with the customers. Barak Zin, the snobby Warzinen noble, has far greater ambitions than any other warlord in Tobuck, only outmatched by his boorish smugness. But passion like his, if harnessed well, makes for a good tool. Apparently we start with the second rule. I mean, the first rule costs stability, costs non-align, which is why I'm not starting with that rule, so, you know, whatever. Obviously, we start with rule 2. That just makes sense, you know. Next, let's celebrate military success. As Walnut Drive would say, there's nothing like a party to remind yourself why it is that you do what you do. Though they haven't done much recently, the warlords would very much enjoy some shipments of various foodstuffs and booze to keep themselves occupied until we're ready to get out. This one, if I remember right, is really good for, like, infiltrate money. Yeah. This one, this one's just really good at keeping them from being angry, even if it costs a lot of political power. Even though the elected government holds little power, simply subverting them by use of force would be inexcusable in both the eyes of the people and friendly regimes. As such, it sometimes requires a little bit of bribery and blackmail to convince a government bureaucrat to sign off on a risky legislature, and smile while doing it. Yes, it does. Oh, the slave raid. Okay. Wait. New and me are... Yep, that one. Okay. We have received word from the units on the Terran border that their legionaries have begun a lightning raid, descending with ruthless precision upon our border patrols and making a beeline for the sparsely defended civilian settlement. Within an hour, they could reach the settlement and kidnap their citizens. We can scramble our forces to attempt to hold them off, or we can withdraw if we think we cannot defeat them. I mean, we might as well give it a shot. Even if we fail, you might as well give it a shot. I mean, come on. Expand grand jurisdiction. If the events of the past few months... Oh, sell guns. Sorry. Had to sell guns. If the events of the past few months have proven anything, it's that we must allow the National Guard jurisdiction over the movement of peoples. We must keep the Zeratian intellectuals in the city, and of course make sure that the warlords remain blissfully ignorant for a little longer. Yes, of course. Go, my troops. Try. Well, there goes slaves. Don't. Yay. Oh, well. It happens sometimes. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you get your citizens stolen and turned into slaves. It's, sometimes it happens. Nothing I can really do about it. But I think this will be a good time to stop this episode. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button. And as always, peace.